During this video lesson, we're going to take a look at cropping and straightening. I've already done some of that, but I thought we'd go ahead and have a lesson that focuses solely on cropping and straightening because it's a pretty common task. So this is a picture that I took on Lake Ohrid in Macedonia. So I could just come up into the rotate tool, select the image, and as we talked about earlier, I could drag this slider. Usually that's not too practical for something like this. And I could just eyeball it until it looked horizontal. If it helped, I could bring down a guideline here near the horizon. It doesn't look too far off. Maybe come up just a little bit more, but there's a way that we can get it exactly. So I'm just going to cancel that and then take this guideline and just get rid of it. So a much more accurate way to do this is to use the measurement tool, and I'm just going to strike a line across the surface of the lake here, kind of off on the horizon, and when I look down below, it gives me information that tells me that the line that I struck is about 1400 pixels long and at an angle of 1.49 degrees. So now when I come back into the rotate tool and select the image, I can enter 1.49 and hit enter. But I went the wrong way, so I'll reset, and this time I'm going to type in negative 1.49 degrees. And we'll rotate that. And now we'll pull a guide down just to see how we're doing. And that looks pretty great. Much better than before anyways. So now that we have our image rotated, you'll see up here across the top, in fact on all four edges, where there's now some missing pixels. So we need to recrop it. So I will choose the rectangle select tool if I wanted to get this printed for my living room wall. I have fixed aspect ratio checked, and I'll try 7:5 or 5:7. Remember, you can toggle them back and forth right here from portrait to landscape mode. And that looks good. Now again, you have these grips on the sides and the corners that allow you to pull out proportionally. We'll just go ahead and crop this. Since we have it selected, we come into image and crop to selection. So we've now straightened it and cropped it at a 5:7 aspect ratio. I'm going to undo that work, and this time we're going to use the crop tool, which is right here. And that's essentially what we just did using this tool, in that it combines both steps. Right now the fixed aspect ratio is set to pixels, so I'll just go ahead and here again I'll put in 5:7. And now when I drag a new selection, I need to change it to landscape. I'll pull out, and I don't need to go up to the image menu and choose crop to selection, although I could. I can just go ahead and hit the enter key, and that does our crop. Now we're not limited to just a rectangular crop. We can do a couple of undos here. Select, I'll say none. We can do an elliptical crop, do any shape we want, like so. And if I want this to go into 5:7 frame, again I'll click and put in 5-7, select none, and now when I drag, my ellipse is at a 5:7 aspect ratio regardless of which way I go. So this would fit nicely in a 5:7 frame. And then just come up to image and crop to selection. Now you may be wondering how come it did not crop away the corners outside of the ellipse, and that's just the way GIMP works. However, if we wanted to delete those pixels, we could go to Select and Invert, and then just use our eraser tool and either erase the pixels, or we could use the paint bucket tool. Just choose the pattern fill, and let's see here. Well, I guess that one looks okay. Whatever you want. So that's cropping to a non-rectangular shape. Let's just take one more look at what we can do here, and then we'll be done. I did a few undos to get back to our 5x7 elliptical selection, and I'm going to now take and click on the Quick Mask tool, and then I'm going to come up into filters, and we'll get into filters quite a bit more later on, but I just want to show you what's possible again with selection sets. And I'm going to come into distorts, and I'm going to choose waves. Now we have the preview set, and let's zoom in some, and that gives us an idea of what we have. You can turn those down. You can just experiment with it however you want. I'll go ahead and exaggerate it here. So that you can see the effect. And what I'm doing is I'm applying the wave filter to the quick mask, not to the image, but to the quick mask. So when I click OK, it edits the quick mask, and so now when I click and turn it off, I now have a selection set with the waves applied. That'd be pretty difficult to draw freehand. I'll come up under Select. I will choose to invert it again. I'll choose my eraser, set the hardness, make it big so that I can make quick work of this. Make it even bigger. There we go. And we now have a selected image that we could then take and add to a web page, or maybe print on a Christmas card, whatever. Just something a little fancier than a rectangular crop. So I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have any questions, let me know, and we'll go ahead and move on to the next lesson.